Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to my deep guide, and in today's video we are going to be unboxing and I'm going to be sharing with you my first impressions of this device. And what is this device? It doesn't say anything. Well, this is the Daylight Computer DC-1. So if some of you guys remember from early summer or something like that, there was the announcement about this device that it's actually going to come out. It's not an e-ink device, it's not a traditional Android tablet, even though it is Android powered. So it is a device that is trying to be focused on the same type of health benefits and distraction-free and kind of disconnect-ish like type of approach that traditional e-ink devices do have, but in a slightly different way. So let's unbox it and check it out. Full disclosure, this unit has not been sent to me by Daylight DC Computer. This is a unit that I pre-ordered and paid for myself, so that I wanted to kind of get it and test it out for you guys. So it arrived and here we are. Now, this is not a cheap device. This is a $730 device, plus shipping, plus import taxes and all that kind of stuff, for a device that I personally don't really want to use, and it's not something that I'm interested in, but I know that a lot of you guys actually are, that follow this channel. And also this is a new kind of thing that I believe also deserves to be explored in an impartial and non-biased way, which is part of the focus that I have on my deep guide. So that's one of the reasons why I ordered it and purchased it with my own money, to show you the what the device actually is. If you like the work that I do and the independence that my deep guide has, then I invite you to like and subscribe to the channel, and also visit the mydeepguide.com/shop, where you can find two of my products, MMP and MDO. My Daily Organizer, MDO, is your one-stop solution for excellent yearly, quarterly, weekly, monthly, daily organizing in a digital paper kind of type of way, which is custom tailored for e-note devices, but it works on any device that actually supports PDFs and hyperlinks. And the same type of thing, but meeting related, MP, My Deep Guide Meeting Planner, is a hyperlinked PDF document file like the MDO is, but it's focused on helping you simplify, centralize, and organize all of your meeting planning needs. And also it's been made custom tailored to work in perfect conjunction with e-note devices, but it works like MDO on any device that supports hyperlinks in PDF files and annotations. If any of that sounds interesting to you, check out the links below. And also, if you just want to support the work that I do, independence that I do, that's one of the ways to do it as well. And now let's unbox this puppy. And here is the package that I received, or the contents of the package that I received. This is the unit, and then there was this thing as well, which is like a magnetic cushion that you put your device in, and it just kind of cushions it nicely. I guess it could double up as a sitting pillow as well, as long as you remember that you don't sit on it while the device is in there, because then it's not going to be a good time. But I've never seen this before, and it's kind of an interesting thing to kind of see. So yeah, with a nice stitching logo and all that kind of stuff. All right, so here is the package itself, and let's unbox it and check out what we get inside. And then we're going to check out just the specifications and a little bit more about what the Daylight DC-1 is. All right, so we got magnetic holding, cool. Open up, let there be light. Okay, we hope this computer gives you a little more embodiment, a little more spare space, a little more peace of mind, and a little more trust in your unrealized potential. Ungen and Daylight. So you're welcomed by this little message here, and with the paper cover, cool, no plastic. Let there be light. Welcome to the third timeline. It's about time. I don't know what the capitalized third timeline is, but okay. So we got this. That's a that's a hefty device. Definitely on a heavy side of things, for sure. Okay, you can stitch this up if you want. Daylight Computer Company. We get a photo of a 3. The Third Timeline Research Institute? What? This is giving me weird vibes, man. Okay. It would be good if like they're including this to actually just, welcome to the third timeline. It's about time that they include, clue us in to the whatever that is. Then we get getting started. You turn it on, set it up, and shoot us an email. All right, cool. Next, we get to have the basics, which is the stylus, quick action button, power button, volume plus minus, back button, micro SD slot, and a USB-C port. All right, so we got the back button and a quick action button as dedicated ones, which is cool. Then we have FCC and UKCA compliance things. All right, so that's your supporting documentation and the weird thing that comes in front of it all. Then we get to have the passive EMR stylus. So the stylus is included with this, but because it's an EMR stylus, that should mean that you should be able to use any passive EMR stylus, and that's something that I'll check out, because in the case that maybe you don't like the stylus for some reason, then you can use another one. So this looks like we have an eraser on the back, because it's nice and smooth and it looks like it. Then we get to have a button as well, and we have a nice replaceable standard style or standard format nib in here as well. It is China 3142. What the hell did I order? Like, why is this filled with symbols and hidden messages? Okay, so we have a pen. Okay, cool. Then you get spare nibs. Let's see how many. No. Oh, that's it? You just get 5 spare nibs in a tool slot? $730, man. Come on. Like, really? Okay, a USB-C to USB-C cable. I get it, like people who are coming from Mac kind of things, they're thinking like, oh yeah, the whole world uses Macs and that's the only thing that you need, but USB-C to USB-A is actually a more better standard, or at least like include a converter between C to A so that then you have every user covered and that kind of stuff. But okay. All right, so in the package you get the mysterious documentation, you get the stitcher kind of thing, patch thing, you get a device, obviously, you get the passive EMR stylus, you get the USB-C to USB-C cable without the C to A adapter, and you get 5 extra nibs and a nib replacement tool. What I'm confused about is that normally when a device ships with a micro SD card capability, you also get the micro SD card tool to pop it and all that kind of stuff, but I can't really see that being included in this, and that's highly unusual. So I'll double check the box, but I don't think that it's there. Nope, no micro SD slot tool anywhere to be found. All right, I'm excited to get this out of the wrapper here, if at all possible, without ripping things apart. It doesn't seem like it. Maybe. Okay, one ripped a little. Okay, carefully here. Is it? Nope, it's designed to rip off. I don't like that. Okay, so here is the very, very hefty device. Let's get rid of this. All right, and here it is. So this is a 10.5-inch reflective LCD powered device. It has a monochromatic screen. It has an amber front light only that you can, of course, enable, disable, and it is a DC powered backlight. So it's not a PWM based front light, so that's a good thing. And it does have paper-like kind of cover applied on the top of it. I think that it's applied like a screen protector, because if I do go around here and shine this onto the strong light, maybe the camera will be able to pick up just here in the bottom line a very strong shyness, which is the tiny little area of the surface of the screen actually that's not covered by this protective film on top. So it's nice, it dulls the reflections quite nicely, so that I think it works really well. And the writing feel, there's of course hardness because this is glass on top, but the feel of the structure is actually fine. So we have this rather, for my taste at least, dated looking design with quite a bit of chunkiness all around the place. So we have very thick bezels here and here. These on the side I do understand, because if you're just reading and using it, then it does make sense. And here as well, it could make sense, but then they're too thin to kind of hold comfortably because of the immense weight that this device has. This is a heavy unit, and I think this is well close to half a kilo, if not more. So on the front, we have a flush screen with the Surface. Bezels, as I said, they're equal on this side, but unfortunately and strangely, they are not equal top and bottom. So you have the bottom being a little bit wider than it is. And again, these kind of, proportions do make sense on a portable device. But this, with its weight and chunkiness, this is not something that I can or would want to handle in my hand just as a reader or anything like that. This, when I feel something that's this chunky and this kind of weighty, I want to set it down and then use it on the table. So that's my first impression of the ergonomics of the device. Now we have this screen that is very amber-like, and there is a reflectivity that you will normally associate and see with reflective LCD panels. And of course, the Fresnel effect is basically going to be extremely pronounced on our LCD technique, and that's, as you can see now, it's appearing to be completely black. So what's a Fresnel effect? Closer you are to looking at the screen from the side, less visible of a content you will see on the screen. And even without any content, you can see that when it's perpendicular, then it's brightest and most amber. And as I start tilting it, you can see that it's now fading into black, and already here at this angle you will probably not be able to see any of the content of the screen. We will see how that goes. So already at around 60-70 degrees of an angle, viewing angle, yeah, all the way to 90, that's not gonna do anything. So that's something that you absolutely have to be aware of when dealing with the RLCD technology. What remains to be seen is, when I power it up, is how does the backlight or front light affect this to combat it in a good way. They are already combating one of the major disadvantages of reflective LCD panels, which is the reflectivity of the surface above the screen, and that they are already doing a really good job. So that's a nice thing to see. It's a bucket design type of tablet, so the whole screen panel and the front cover, it all glass, feels like glass, is in a bucket here, which is plastic, but it's nice, lovely, soft, kind of rubberized, gummified type of plastic. What remains to be seen is that sometimes these rubberized plastics are totally fine over the course of years, but I've had my fair share of really unfortunate experiences, and with high-class products where their computer peripherals like keyboards or mouse devices would have this kind of stuff, and then they would just suddenly turn sticky and icky and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully the technology that's being used here to rubberize and gummify it to feel so nice as it does feel really nice. It's not slippery, and it's very pleasant to the touch. Hopefully that's not going to be the case with the Daylight DC-1 after a few years, because I think that kind of thing is no longer happening, hopefully. So yeah, hopefully that's going to be the case here as well. So we have a very clear kind of design. And the fingers are there so that my camera can actually focus here. So if you pick between the fingers, you will see 5 pogo point for communication and power delivery to potential peripherals that may or may not be in plan to be developed, but you know, the compatibility and option is there. You can feel it. It's not totally out of the way, but it's not a big deal. I mean, you really have to stretch, and only when you're using it like this, then you do naturally touch on it. My only point of concern here would be, will they corrode over time or not, or get damaged over time or not, because they're fairly exposed here. So then we have button layouts and the other layouts. So on top we have the power button and the orange mark. So this is a really interesting callback to MobiScribe, because MobiScribe is the one who was using exactly the same type of thing. We have the custom button, which I think is programmable to be whatever you want it to be. And I guess these are microphones here for the Android 13 to listen to you. Then we have the volume buttons, which hopefully will be able to kind of program them to function as page turn buttons as well. One would expect that. We have another orange button here, which is a back button. Buttons are really, really cheap plastic feel. They are nice and clicky. Yes, they are nice and clicky, but the quality of the plastic here is super, super cheap. That doesn't feel like a $730 kind of device, and it doesn't match the lovely feel of the rubberized back here. So this is a fairly stark contrast in quality between these two, or the quality feel between these two. Then on the bottom we have stereo speakers, USB-C for communication and charging, and then on the side here we have the micro SD card slot, which doesn't really sit that well. And this is a manufacturing quality control type of an issue. It physically cannot sit properly in here because the curvature of the slot, where the slot needs to sit in, is not really as precise as the slot cover is that needs to go in. So you not only have the curvature that doesn't really match and prevents it to go fully in, but you also have this kind of slanted thing on the side. So you do have an entry point for moisture, dust, and other stuff to actually continuously have access into the innards of the device. Now, let's see if that is the case or not, because I'm going to use my own tool here, because of course this one was not supplied with a tool. And let's see how the insides of it are. So that's the micro SD card here. So it's not that bad, but it would have been nicer to actually see that this actually fits properly. And yes, it clicks and it closes. You don't have to do anything. This is just how it fits. That's its in place position. All right, now when I don't have to battle the zoom and focus, I can just focus on one more thing regarding the slot, and that is it's easy to let it go, and it does click back nicely in place. All right, so that works. All right, so that's the overview of the device design and build quality. So my overall impression is the build quality seems to be mostly okay, but the micro SD card is obviously a point of concern for me, and also the build, the material that's used for the buttons, the plastic is feels too cheap when compared to the rest of it. And my other concern is what will happen to the pogo pins over an extended period of time. And the final question mark, not a concern, is like, where's the legal mumbo jumbo stuff? It's nowhere to be found, and I find that unusual. So that's as far as the build quality. As far as the design goes, I think that it's minimal, so it hits the minimalistic mark, which is what it was going for. So part is fine, but I think that there are a couple of missed opportunities, such as it would have been very nice to have, if you're already going for a bulky, wide margins or bezels design, then having equal width on left and right and top and bottom would definitely make a lot more sense, because when you use this kind of device, you may want to use it in this kind of mode for typing and things like that, and then the equal bezels do make more sense, because it's a bit of a distraction when things are not really symmetrical. Other than that, I think that it's okay. It just seems a little dated and a little chunky, and it is definitely very, very heavy. However, the ergonomics of the design are really, really nice, despite it being very heavy. I love the curvature here, and I love the material that's used here as well, because it's extremely pleasant to the touch. The edges are nicely rounded. So for example, there's a tiny bit of surface sticking out here on top of the screen, but unlike with the Books Tab Ultra series, where that was a problem because it was thin metal and it was sharp, that's not the case here, because it's using this softer type of material, which is very, very nice and pleasant to the touch. All right, before I go on with the first power-up, just the specs of this device. So it's using a 10.5-inch live paper display. They're calling it live paper display. That is a monochromatic reflective LCD display. It's using a pure amber backlight. So they're saying that it's a backlight, not a front light. So in case it's a backlight, then that's actually not an RLCD. Then it's going to be a transflective LCD if it's a backlight, because the backlight needs to, basically then it's using a one-way mirror. So we'll see what that is. DC dimming instead of pulse width modulation, which is great. So what does that mean? DC dimming means that when you're dimming down the intensity of the backlight or the front light, it doesn't dim it by actually changing the frequency of the pulsing, which is the pulse width modulation method, but it's actually lowering down the current, so therefore DC dimming. And we have the Wacom EMR passive stylus, which means that the device is equipped with a Wacom EMR passive layer as well technology. Has 8 GB of RAM, 128 GB of storage that's expandable via the micro SD card. It's using a MediaTek Helio G99 SoC, a massive 8000 milliamp battery, so that's where the weight is. Okay, it's compatible with Wi-Fi 6 standard, Bluetooth 5.0. It's using a USB-C with PD, micro SD card slot, pogo pins on the back. 550 grams, they say the device is heavy. So yeah, that's plenty heavy. Stereo speakers, stereo microphone, customizable action buttons. Well, there's only one button. Maybe you can customize the back button as well. And it's using something called Soul OS, but that is basically a custom skinned Android 13. All right, finally, I got all the stuff out of the way and I can power it up. And let's see what's it about, because I'm quite curious. I've tried many an e-ink device. I've tried several reflective LCD and transflective LCD panels as well. So it's going to be interesting to see where this one falls in line. Okay. All right. So immediately I can see that I'm going to have a bit of a difficulty reviewing this, because for the camera to actually see it normally, this is how you see the image, right? But I am looking at it at kind of this angle, and this is what I see. So that's that Fresnel effect, that of reflectivity that I talked about, and you can see that it's gone. Yeah, pretty much completely gone, and then it starts appearing at around, well, already at around 75 degrees. It starts appearing, and then yeah. And of course, the same goes here, here, and there. So that's the physical aspect of a reflective or transflective LCD panel. Right out of the gate, this is genuinely the very first time that I'm powering up this device, and I haven't watched any videos at all before from anyone else. So I genuinely have zero idea how this works or anything like that. So please bear with me, because this is first impressions video. I just want to share with you guys my first impression experience with the Daylight DC-1, and the whole point of this is to share that with you, so that I can also hear your thoughts, share my thoughts with you, and then I can start the actual review and testing process once I'm done with the unboxing here. Instead of having a normal Android sign up screen to choose a region and things like that, I'm welcomed with this, which says 12:03, which is not the correct time. It's not the correct date, and I have a Reader, Kindle, Notebook, Docs, Chrome, Spotify, and Chess. And I have ACD here, and I have this. There's no onboarding process, guide, or anything whatsoever, which is not something that I expected. I expected this, my impression at least, was that this whole approach to this was to be kind of minimalistic and easy to use. And I don't know, okay, what's A? Oh, okay, so this is the approach to, okay, so this is choosing different apps, and this is coming preloaded with tons of apps. I didn't do any of this. And you have the favorites here, and then you have Niagara Launcher. Okay, so they're using Niagara Launcher. All right, so the thing that's really cool, it's a smart thing to use the RLCD that's monochromatic, because on one hand, when you see something like that, you're going to expect e-ink type of performance, but as soon as you interact with it, you get 60 frames per second performance of an LCD. That's the LCD part of it, and no ghosting. And then you're immediately like, oh wow, cool. When in fact it's just the transflective or reflective 60 frames per second LCD screen. It's not an OLED, it's an LCD technology. That being said, the resolution is 1600 by 1200 at a 10.5 inches, so that means that you're getting around 190 ppi image density resolution, and that's something that I can already kind of see here. I think that this has been preset already, so this is search apps, back button. Okay, can I slide down? Notifications. This has been preset by someone, and I'm gonna try and do a factory reset of this whole thing. All right, so I'm just gonna go a factory reset so that I can see what's what, because this looked like it was pre-installed with stuff, and I'm definitely not okay with that. All right, so this makes more sense. So this is onboarding. This is what I expected to see from the device that I received. So this is very strange. I don't really understand why that was done like that, but okay. So welcome to Daylight. Let's start. There is an onboarding. Start instrumentation in 1 minute. I don't know what that means. So we have some symbols going. Clean home screen to let you focus on what matters. Tap agree and continue to agree to Niagara Launcher. Yes, focus on what matters, which is agree to the terms and conditions of the Niagara Launcher. Okay. So you can select your favorites. We recommend 8 favorites. So it comes with these obviously pre-installed. So then we can just go like this. No favorites selected. Add some favorites. All right, so let's add some favorites. Let's add, well, I like Edge, but they don't have Edge here, do they? So you have normal 60 frames a second type of reactivity of the screen, which is quite nice. And as I already commented on it, it looks okay. It's a little weird. I'll try and focus on other things to begin with. So what are the things that I would like to try? Well, let's try with Kindle. I would love to have Kobo, but they are not including Kobo in here. So I think that I'm gonna use, what are you doing? Stop being smart. What? Why? No. There. Oh God. Focus on what matters. Let me choose things. Why are you doing this? Stop. Stop going back to Kindle. I don't want you to... Is this maybe a link thing? Is now unlinked? What? Okay, maybe it was the link thing. I'm not really sure what's going on. This is... Now Google is selected and it's continuing to go down. I'll try and kind of hold it, like hold it. So you don't like this at all. So let's try and get Chrome. Let's get really quick. Kindle. Play Store. Cool. You have a Play Store. Who is clicking on this? What? What's happening? I'm really happy that I'm recording this because do you guys see this? It's just having random fits. Yeah, whoa. Was that a guide? Was that an interactive guide that was... What? I think this unit has some issues. Yeah, it's having this is like having random, like something broke down, because these are like random touches. So I'm gonna try. So I'm gonna restart and see what we get. Because if I got a broken unit, then unfortunately I'll have to contact them and get in touch with them, and then this video is, well, it's not gonna be a complete bust, because again the whole point is me sharing my experience with you guys. And yeah, so let's see, is it going to go bananas here? No. Okay. So tidy up your app list to find your apps quicker. You can also reach apps with your left hand. Okay. Sure. No, I don't want to hide anything. And let's keep it like this. And let's try and use it normally. Maybe it was a software bug that it was just getting really weird. So that's a back button. That works. Okay. So let's try first the most important thing for me, which is the Google Play Store, and let's see if it actually works. Yeah, I don't have an internet connection, so let's hook up to the internet. I'm noticing an issue with the connectivity because I'm in the room where the Wi-Fi router is actually, and all of the normal devices have naturally completely full signal here on this network. But this one, sort of like the issue that I saw with the AI paper as well, this one doesn't. This one actually has a really weak signal, even though it doesn't. You can't get a better room with a better signal in this house. It's literally yeah, right where the router is. So that's a negative that I'm definitely seeing. So, all right, so let's see. Can I hook up to the Play Store? Okie dokie, cool. So I am hooked up to the Google Play Store normally now, and that is a very, very cool thing to see. So that means that I should be able to just go ahead and download Kobo. So yep, there's Kobo. That's what I want, and I really want the Edge as well. Okay, or maybe even Brave would be even better to get. Yeah, the interactivity is quite nice and it seems to be working well. So that, I think, was a very, very important element of this whole experience. Can I easily add Kobo to the quick access? So Kobo Books, and I want to add it to the favorite. There we go. And then I just go like here, and I should have my Kobo books added to my favorite. Cool. All right, that works. All right, so I've been trying to sign in to Kobo, and suddenly it kind of glitched out again, like many taps on the screen, and just went back. and now I can no longer, oh, there we go. Starts again. Okay, let's try and sign in again. All right, this time I managed to sign in. So if I go to my books, yeah, I got it. And then let's just download 2 of them, see what the performance is like. And at this point, I'm also testing, very nice and fast, I'm also testing like the stability of the device, because I'm getting some very strange issues, as you've seen initially, completely glitching out before. Restart fixed that. But here with Kobo as well, when I was trying to sign in, I got some strange random touch behavior and not wanting to open things. So let's see. Yep, that's okay. All right, so for reading comics, this is really nice. Very, very nice. Can I go into settings and say I want to use page turning using volume keys? Excellent, that works. Oh, it's so much nicer when I can actually look at, this is what I see, right? So when I'm reviewing, this is what I'm seeing, and this is what you guys been seeing. So I've just turned it towards me, and I saw it for the first time, what it actually looks like, and this is really, really pretty and really kind of nice to look at. All right, I'll return it to you guys so you can see it, but just, yeah, I was just surprised. Let's see how it is for reading proper books. So yeah, next, yes. So we have the interactivity. Okay, that's okay. Let's see that's how the Kobo app works, right? So that's not the device itself. All right, does it have auto orientation? So if I turn it around, it doesn't have auto orientation, or maybe it's not turned on. We'll check it out. All right, so for testing here, what again? Okay, use page volume keys, and let's use narrow line spacing. And let's just adjust the margins so that they're wider, because the default setting was kind of silly. All right, and that's that. Okay, so this is okay. This is how the Kobo app works on Android, and that's just what it is. So the screen itself and the device itself are more than capable of kind of swapping this and flipping pages, but this will of course naturally depend on which app you are using. All right, so that's the kind of text stuff covered. So how do I go home? There we go, I can go home. So let's get to the note shelf and see how it is to take notes. Okay, welcome to Note Shelf. Never used it before. Full feature digital note taking. Take notes, record audio, add photos, mark up documents or images, draw perfect shapes, see different covers and papers, reach text formatting. Okay, sounds interesting. Classic writing notes, mark up documents or images. So you could maybe use MDO on this. That would be interesting. Back up your notes to Dropbox. Okay, and yes, and then start note taking. Cool. So let's do a new one. So I'm just going to create a new notebook. Ruled, yes. I think that's fine. And then I'm just going to call it first test. Okay, cool. Let's go. There we go. Okay. So this is going to be very difficult for me to write because of the angle, the viewing angle here. I'm going to do my best. The thing that I can tell you is that it's not only the visibility that changes, it's the coloration of the reflectivity as well. Because under this angle, I'm going to try and see if the camera can capture it. So under this angle, you get kind of bluish reflectivity, and then as I start turning it, it turns into amber, then back to bluish, back to amber, and that kind of stuff. So that's something you gotta definitely take into consideration. So let's zoom in and try and do first writing example on the Backlight DC-1 despite the viewing angles. Alright, so in this video I'm definitely not going to be focusing on functionalities and what are the options that the whatever app this one is using for note-taking has. I will be focusing on the actual writing experience. So the eNote devices actually put a priority on the writing latency, which is something that non-e-ink devices simply physically cannot do because the panel doesn't have that refresh mode. LCD, OLED, doesn't matter. They simply do not use that refresh mode. So it's not something that a device like this can do, and therefore that's why the much slower latency, as you can see, it's very, very slow compared to an eNote device or an e-ink eNote device. That's why this was fairly expected for me. Now, that being said, the writing feel, oh, I hate this. I passionately hate this. Oh my god, every new page? Ugh. Okay. Anyway, what I was trying to say is that if we get over the writing latency speed, so that's the little talk about writing latency, the writing feel on the DC-1 is really nice. Really nice. And the app that they are using here is very precise as well. So it's capturing my actual handwriting, my mistakes, my messes, and all those things. It doesn't do too much optimization and then basically an interpretation of my handwriting like some of the devices and some of the apps do. Nope, that's not the case here. This is actually quite nice. So let's try a finer type of thing. Yes, that's probably okay. Let me tilt and see. Yeah, that's even better here, but you cannot have an angle. Yeah, you don't have a viewing angle where some area of the screen isn't really darkening and you don't have that reflective LCD signature kind of silverish type of a look, which again is to be expected, but you just have to kind of keep that in mind. All right, so the writing feel is good. Writing latency is slow as to be expected. The precision is excellent, and the way that it captures is the handwriting is nice. My first impressions, I've already shared the feel and stuff. I really love how it feels. I really do like that. So this is something that's very comfortable to use. I like how the pen feels as well. Okay, I guess you can customize how to erase and what to use. It would be nice to actually have a brush for eraser as well. Does this work? What? So this is not an eraser. This is just a touch thing. Weird. That's pretty much it as far as I'm concerned, as far as first impressions go. The negatives of writing, for me, latency, definitely one that's a big one, because it's distracting how it's slow. Whenever it's trailing behind, it gets to be distracting. But the far bigger point of distraction for me is basically the screen technology and the viewing angles, and just how finicky it is and how fiddly it is to find a good viewing angle that's not, there we go, that doesn't really just fade into darkness so quickly. And yeah, that's basically my first impressions. And the second thing is it's where do I keep the pen? I mean, this is an enormous device, and I would have expected to have at least a loop or some kind of mechanism, something to hold the pen, but there isn't. All right, so I turned off the lightbox light, and you can see my hands here are lit by the window and the disgusting day that is outside. So we actually have double controls of the front light or the backlight, so you can see how it actually looks like when it's capturing a little bit of window light here, but mostly it's quite a dark day. However, on a much nicer day, this would be much more usable, like a regular reflective LCD screen is. Now we do have intensity of the front light, so, or the backlight. Okay, so that's very sensitive, and it has many touches, so you can really adjust it and fine-tune it to whatever degree you want. And it seems to be a backlight, not a front light, so that should then be a transflective LCD panel. But what I'm interested in is that in the specifications and in my conversation with Anjan before, they specifically said, like, well, we're just going to use an amber light. However, you do have cold and warm. So it's not just an amber light. The only difference is that the amber light basically fades out really quickly, and then you have a very big range of the cold front light, and gradually it goes there. So you do have all of the options of the front light that you normally would expect, and this is possible to adjust in an okay way. There's some strange blinking happening. Oh, that's the, oh, so it's kind of showing you the example of how it looks like so that you can tweak it. All right, so I wanted to show that the backlight, I know I'm saying backlight, front light, I don't know which one it is, but the lighting of the screen does have intensity, both intensity and the warmth control, and that is news to me. All right, and finally, because I'm pretty much done with the first impressions thing, I want to see what's the point of this. I guess this is for carrying your DC-1 in it. Let's zoom out so that we can fit this big thing into the frame. So this is basically, this is how you carry your device. And is there a, oh, there's the loop for the pen. Okay, so this is where your pen is supposed to go, like this, and then you carry it like this, and this is okay. Well, that's the direction where they went with, I guess. Well, okay, so the Daylight DC-1 computer, I guess they call it. First impressions. I think I've shared most of my first impressions here. Oh, how can I help? It's listening.
Say, help me check financial markets or how to find services.
Distraction free, was it? Was it the point to disconnect and all that kind of stuff? Really? I mean, I didn't even say, hey Google. It just started doing that. I guess I'll turn it off so that I can give you my blurb. Anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted by this technology that I did not invite to listen to me and I did not give it any permission to do so, yeah, first impressions. So it's really heavy. That's number one impression, was from the get-go. It's like first touch, it's like, oh my god, this is very weighty. 8,000 milliamp battery. That is a massive battery for a device like this, and I'm not entirely sure why does it need it. Does it need it? Because they say that it's going to provide you with days of battery life, and if you have like that much weight and that much battery and you still get days of battery life, then that's one of the things, one of the benefits that you have on a traditional e-ink tablet that is just right out of the gate gone on this one. So that kind of combination of things is something that I'm not really a big fan of, but I will do my due diligence and I'll do detailed testing and all of that kind of stuff, and then I'll give you reports in the in-depth review so that I can bring more information about that and that I can form my own opinion in a better way. Design-wise, it's nice, it looks pretty, but the design and build quality I'm not really sold on, mainly because the fitting of the SD card is not good enough. The feeling of the quality of the buttons, it's just too cheap of a plasticky kind of thing, and I'm not a fan of non-symmetrical bezels around the device, and all around, coupled with the weight, it feels a little bit too chunky and a little bit old-fashioned. I don't mind rounded edges, not at all. It's not all about that kind of stuff, and I actually prefer plastic devices to metal and aluminum devices. I mean, if you take a look at Supernote A6X2, that is not a metal device or anything like that, but I consider its design and build quality as modern and really, really good. So from that standpoint, this I don't consider to have a modern look, and it just is, I don't know, it maybe too minimalistic for my taste. The other first impression that's also important is the writing. As I said, I really like the writing feel. It's very comfortable, it's very precise, it captures the characteristics of my handwriting, it looks good, and it feels really, really good. The negative that I do have is that the latency is very, very slow, but that can't be helped because of the technology that it's actually using. And with that, I'm going to connect to another first impression that's really important, and that is the reflective LCD, which is the whole point of it, of this device, because you can use it in daylight and then you don't need a front light and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that definitely tracks. And if you're interested to actually learn more about the reflective LCD technology and what you can expect from it, you can check out my RLCD reviews. So just go to my channel and type RLCD and you will find the related videos there, and you will see a couple of monitors that are there. There's an iMu tablet as well, but that's just trash. I mean, so that's that's not a good one. But this one is utilizing reflective LCD technology, so that does make it interesting in its own right and important in its own right, because it's one of the first ones that's actually doing this in a different way, because it's monochromatic, reflective LCD, all that kind of stuff. So the benefits are definitely there, because you can use it outside and it's going to be very nice and visible, especially in sunny days, without the need to use the backlight of any sort. So you will have battery consumption benefits on this device when compared to a traditional LCD or an OLED device when used outside, right? So that's what the RLCD technology is primarily there for. Added benefits are health-related benefits, because it doesn't really glow at you at such high intensities, especially on the when you're outside. It actually captures the environmental light, and then it can look very, very nice. The negative effects of the reflective LCD panels are several. Typically, reflective LCD panels suffer from the battle with the transmittance of light. So in order to allow as much light as possible to pass through this front layer and reach the reflective mirror behind the LCD, so it can mirror that light back and illuminate the LCD cells, then you need to have as much transmittancy as possible on the surface there. Now, in order to achieve that, if you do allow maximum transmittance, then you will have a lot of reflectivity, a lot of reflections on that surface as well. And that was a problem with RLCD and TRLCD monitors that I've tried out in the past, because then the intensity of the image that you see on the screen will need to battle and kind of compete with the intensity of reflections that are reflected on this glass panel in front of it. However, DC-1 does have this, as you can see, you can't see any clear reflections. Even when I point it to the ring light, you just see the shape of the ring light, but you don't see it actually clear. So this, I think, is a really big strong point of DC-1, how it's using this, because it's diffusing the reflections, and number one problem with reflective LCD panels is actually eliminated on the DC-1 or minimized. So that's a really good thing. The bad thing is something that no amount of fiddling can actually help, and that is the viewing angles. And it's simply physics 101, Fresnel. You cannot get away from Fresnel effect when you're dealing with reflectivity, and this is a reflections-based type of technology, so that is something that you definitely have to kind of keep in mind, because there are no angles under which you can actually look at this device and observe the entirety of the content on the screen equally lit and equally visible. There's always going to be some kind of shading depending on what your lighting conditions are and what the viewing angles are. So that would be the third first impression of this device. And the final first impression, the fourth one that I'm gonna capture here for you guys, is basically the sole operating system that they're calling it, or the skin on top of the Android 13. I need to spend more time with it, but my initial impressions are that it feels immature and it feels unfinished. That kind of thing is certainly possible with an Android underneath it. Again, just look at the Supernote, because that one has a custom OS skin and an Android as well, but it is truly distraction-free kind of an approach. This, not so much. This just feels like a minimalized Android skin. And as you've seen when I started to just talk and present it, the Android is underneath it. It's listening to you. Yeah, those are my first impressions. Now I'm gonna spend some more time with this one, start testing it and start checking it out, start documenting all the stuff, ask questions to the Daylight DC-1 if they offer to communicate back or anything like that, so I can bring you an in-depth review in a couple of weeks of time. I think that I'll be able to actually bring you an in-depth review of the Daylight DC-1. But for now, this has been the unboxing and the first impressions. I hope that you liked the video, and if you did, please do like and subscribe to the channel, and again, don't forget to visit mydeepguide.com/shop to support the channel and the independence of MyDeepGuide further. Do let me know in the comments down below what are you specifically interested in to check out on this device, and if this is something that I can normally kind of incorporate and it does make sense, I will consider them and include them in the in-depth review, or maybe some other follow-up video, depending on when the question is asked during the recording and production and testing period of the for the review. So thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye.